Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Thank you for joining us today for another Hub 101. My name is Imani Moore, and I'm the engagement coordinator for the Austin Community Hub.
Hi, I'm Zenobia, and I'm the Community Resource Coordinator for the Austin Community Hub.
Yes, and I want to go ahead and start by introducing a little bit about who we are and what we do. If you didn't know, the Austin Community Hub was designed to be a dedicated space where we can engage with the members of our community. So we're here to serve as a connection between Austin residents and the services that are offered by ACT's network of partner organizations such as child care, job training, youth programs, legal assistance, and much more.
Each one of our Hub 101s gives you all the opportunity to get to know our different partners and get live answers to your questions. Hub 101s take place twice a month on Zoom and Facebook Live.
Yes, yes, thank you. And today, we got a special one, y'all. We joined by one of our incredible community leaders, Austin Coming Together's own executive director, the Mr. Darnell Shields. He's here to talk to us about the Aspire Center. So stay tuned. At some point, we'll also be hearing from the dynamic Natalie Goodin, the special project manager here at Austin Coming Together. After their presentation, we'll end with a Q&A session, and feel free to drop any questions that you have in the chat on Zoom, or if you watch it from Facebook Live, drop your questions there. And once again, this is a special one. Uh, we're kicking off the year with the Aspire Center, and after these Hub 101s, we're kicking off a little series introducing all the anchor tenants that the Aspire Center will be hosting. So, hey, let's get it started. Darnell, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Imani, for that great introduction. And Happy New Year, everybody. So happy to be here to share with you all about this very exciting project that has been years in the making to get to the point where we can bring it online for the community. And so, yeah, want to be able to share more about what this project entails. And so I have a few slides that I want to walk us through to be able to give you guys more of a detailed look at this awesome project. So let's jump right in and start the presentation. So again, this project is really around the Aspire Center for Workforce Innovation is really about representing the community's efforts to reclaim historic space in our community and transform it into a place that will meet Austin's present day needs, right? And what we want to do is I want to give you an overview of the project and what it entails. Also, just by way of introduction, the key programming the key programming and the partners that have really are going to help bring this project into its fullness. And so our story begins with this project. It really begins in 2013 when Emmett Elementary was shuttered in the wave of 50 CPS closures across the city. And From that point, after a lot of uncertainty, Westside Health Authority, one of our community partners, longtime organization advocate in the community, they acquired the building in 2018 to ensure that the redevelopment would reflect the community's vision and needs. Meanwhile, Austin Coming Together was developing Austin's first quality of life plan, Austin Forward Together, which identified the Emmett site as a key opportunity for revitalization. And so this initiative was really part of a broader effort to revitalize the area around Madison Street and Central Avenue as a key commercial corridor in Austin. And so the Aspire Center for Workforce Innovation, the concept is a multi-million-dollar effort to repurpose this closed school building, Emmett Elementary, into an anchor for commercial revitalization and a destination for top-notch workforce training. So opening in 2025, that is our prospective timeline to open this center. And it's a long-term investment in the people of Austin realizing their vision to build wealth and thrive. And this project, again, is being led by, co-developed and led by ACT and WHA. So here's some of the key programming you can expect in the Aspire Center. There's a large emphasis on workforce training, so there's actually going to be an advanced manufacturing training facility within the site, as well as through a collaboration for recruitment, intake, coordination, and referrals for workforce investment, not just in advanced manufacturing, but a number of other workforce training sector type opportunities, as well as financial literacy counseling and training, and small business development support. And some of the anchor tenants, all of these services will be brought to bear. A majority of those services will be brought to bear by the anchor tenants in the building. So Austin coming together, we will be moving our headquarters to the Aspire Center once it's open. Westside Health Authority as well, and the other two anchor tenants are BMO Bank. They will have a bank branch there, and Jane Addams Resource Corporation, which is a national advanced manufacturing training organization. And this is just kind of you can look and see sort of a layout of how these tenants will actually be set in the building to be able to facilitate their programming. And you can kind of see each of the areas are color coded here to show where those organizations will be. So like here is where this is the first floor. And so the areas in green is where you'll see ACT inhabiting space to provide programming. And the area that is sort of lavender pinkish, this is where JARC Training Center will be facilitated. And then this area here that is sort of like a blue is where the BMO branch, and this is all on the first floor. All the white space is actually the public space that'll be available for community members and partners to be able to frequent, also utilize for just basic things like sitting there for utilizing Wi-Fi or other collaborative opportunities. And then on the second floor, you see in gray, here's where Westside Health Authority space will also be. And then there's an orange space for the Aspire Center Workforce Innovation staff, organization staff. So let's talk a little bit about what it took to develop this building. Again, this effort started back in 2018, and over the past 7 years, it's had a number of ebbs and flows to be able to bring this project to bear in terms of construction, capital building, community engagement, and even community narrative. And so I want to be able to share more insight around what all of that has entailed and give updates related to those. And so again, the construction is a big part, right, of this effort, right? So the construction was set up in sort of two aspects to be able to develop this building. One is actual construction of the base building. So that entails the exterior of the building, the core and shell, all of the common space within the building as well, and the community sort of parking lot, outlot, which became the community plaza and so forth. And then there's the tenant build out projects within the building, which is actually the tenant space where all of the programming and things will actually take place between each of the four anchor tenants that I spoke of earlier. And just as a reminder, like for those of you that maybe you've driven past on Central and Madison, and you're looking at sort of the state of what that intersection looks like now with the representation of this beautiful transformation or renovation of this space. But here's an image, a reminder of what this space looked like right at 2018, when it was being purchased by Westside Health Authority after being closed for 5 years and abandoned. You can see the graffiti. There was a field house here in the front area as well. And this was actually the back or rear of the building, where you just off of the area that was formerly used for recess or formerly used for parking and those types of things. And then you also see the residential side of the building here on the right, where it's all boarded up, which was the former assembly hall there. So definitely not in its best state, and had seen, much better years since it was closed. And then here's another image, what it looked like just as we were starting demolition, right? July 2023. And you can see where some of that area, the field house had been torn down. We're starting a demo to be able to bring this building into its new state as the Aspire Center for Workforce Innovation. And one of the things that's important to note, we actually it was decided to reorientate the building's positioning. And so the rear part of the building actually became the front of the building. And this is where a lobby addition was built on to now have this be the front of the building so that it could rightfully interact with the commercial side of intersection right there at Central and Madison, so that we could now utilize this development to catalyze economic and commercial growth along these two commercial corridors. And so let's look at what it looks like today. Actually, this is an image of it in November 2024, and you can see that beautiful addition that has been erected there to bring that concept to life, as well as a new parking lot and the community plaza. All of the windows within the facility have been replaced, and that was a big part of our historic preservation requirement to bring this building back to what it once looked like back in the 1800s when it was built. This building is actually over 100 years old, and at that time, these windows were actually a part of the original design, and so we actually were tasked with bringing that back. And here's a closer look of that beautiful addition as well. And so here's the status of our construction, right? We've been working on this project. We started construction in July of 2023 with demolition taking place. And I'm happy to report that the base building construction is actually complete. We received our certificate of occupancy for that portion of the project right at the close of the year. So coming into 2025, we were finalizing that. There's still a few, punch list items that we're working on, but overall, that particular part or aspect of construction is complete. So now what we're working on is the actual tenant build outs. That's in progress right now. So WHA spaces are being actually built out, as well as JARC. They just received their permits from the city of Chicago, so they will be starting, I believe, this week as we speak. And BMO is actually in the process of submitting for their permits currently right now. So very exciting to know that these different aspects, one part is actually complete and the other is moving forward. And we anticipate staying on track in terms of our deadline and outlook date to be able to open the center this spring. Some of the other, in addition to construction, right, some of the other aspects or efforts that also were a part of this developing the building aspect was the Capitol building. So like, talking about the construction, you can't actually do the construction without raising the funding or having the capital to be able to bring that to bear. And so want to share a little bit more about that, as well as um, this project has been a effort that has really been driven by community. And so there's a lot of activity that we've helped to facilitate around in community engagement that I want to be able to showcase. Also local hiring and some very exciting community narrative installations that I want to give some updates on. And so, as I mentioned about the Capitol building, so coming out of 2021, prior to us being able to actually close on our financing in 2023 to start construction, uh, myself, along with my partners at Westside Health Authority, Morris Reed, we took on a very vigorous fundraising campaign to be able to raise the capital for this effort. And I think it's interesting to know we started this process prior to COVID. And so when you think about, what a development like this particular building would cost, at that time, it was somewhere in the ballpark prior to COVID, around maybe 18 to 20 million dollars to be able to develop this center. And post COVID, with all of the uh, cost overruns and increases and so forth, we soon saw this budget literally double. And so the development cost to bring this building to bear for the corn shell and the interior build outs for the first and second floor, including all of the outlot parking lot plaza, it was about 40.8 million. And the way we actually raised that funding was through support, of course, through our city and state. We had a grant through the state of Illinois in terms of supported by and sponsored by our state representatives, Sean Ford, K Ford, as well as resources from the city of Chicago in terms of TIF funding to the tune of about 12.25 million and 10 million from the state. We also had a 10.43 million and new market tax credit equity that we were able to generate on the project. And we had a large amount of philanthropic support in terms of groups like the United Way and BMO, Blue Cross Blue Shield, the Chicago Community Trust, the Pritzker Traubert Foundation, and Joyce Foundation, and a host of others. Even a foundation that is actually not even located in the city of Chicago, from out of state. This project really attracted support, far and wide. And so we were very excited about that, and, amazingly able to raise the funding to be able to bring this project forward. Now, in addition to the construction, as I said, we continue to engage our community around this project. That's how this project actually became possible. And the community has continued to seed into and inform, how this project has shaped up from its concept to venture. And so when you look at this slide, it's just some examples across the past 7 years where you can see those types of engagement opportunities that we've been involved in with our community, starting with, a visioning session that we had back in 2018 with the Austin Forward Together leaders as we were planning for the Austin Forward Together plan. Those leaders actually got an opportunity to be able to detail with architects and urban planners, like how this building could be repurposed and transformed into this new vision. And so that's really at the heart of what has drove this concept of it becoming the workforce center. And then also the Aspire initiative, we presented that effort at our AFT Leadership Summit in 2020. You see Morris Reed standing, being surrounded by leaders, engaging them, getting their feedback in terms of like how we should further bring that direction and bring that concept to life. We've also leveraged our partnerships with the Austin Weekly News and other media outlets to publish reports and articles that always inform the community every quarter as we kind of go through over the years. In addition to having other panels at our community summits, more Hub 101 broadcasts that we've done on a regular basis annually, in addition to when we got to the very exciting milestone of in 2023 for a groundbreaking ceremony for the center after closing on the financing. You can see images of us there with community, as well as a very large community celebration where we brought together our community leaders, our partners, and funders, and everyone to fellowship and just really enjoy the moment of what we all had accomplished together. And they're recognizing even some of our residents for all of their commitment and dedication to bring this site online. And I think we had even over almost 300 people that attended that event there. You can kind of see that we did right on the grounds of the center. And then lastly, another recent presentation where we came to the community summit and shared once again. So again, community engagement is at the heart of this effort, and it's something that we will continue to do as this project moves into grand opening, as well as even beyond. And in terms of local hiring, this is another huge component of that participation, right? Having local hiring strategies that have been really key to working with our general contractor, Sergeant Blenderman, as well as subcontractors in terms of their selection process. You know, there was a great intention for us to make sure that there were Austin residents, not just meeting minority and woman minority quotas, Black and women minority quotas, but also that there were individuals that were actually from the community that worked on this project. And, you know, I had the great pleasure of meeting some of my neighbors, Taylor, Star, and Darren, who worked on this project. They're all had different jobs within the project, and it's been really exciting to see them have a part in actually building this wonderful asset within their community. And in terms of community narrative, we have some installations, in addition to all of the sort of workforce training and the purpose for the center, the services that people will be able to gain access to. We also know that this development really can act as a opportunity to really change the outlook and the perception of our community. And so we took the liberty of being able to actually work with community to come up with a mural that will be installed on the building itself, on the exterior, that'll actually wrap into the lobby space. And this is a preview vision of what this mural will actually look like. We're super excited to have a artist that was contracted for the project that's actually from the area, local, and he's also world famous as well. His name is Sean Michael Warren, and he was actually commissioned by the Smithsonian to actually do the portrait for Oprah Winfrey. And so exciting to know that someone of that caliber is actually from our community and was excited to really be able to come back and leave his mark and helping us bring this mural forward. So really exciting to know that we'll have that. And another installation that we also saw an opportunity to be able to bring to bear with inside the building. We had a historic preservation requirement through the state of Illinois receiving state funding that we needed to repurpose elements of some of the gym room floor and other things that are in the building that are reminders of what this building once was. And so we took it a step further because we realized that there's a bit of storytelling that we want to be able to do with this effort that we want present within the building, so that anybody that comes in, they know kind of, you know, what's been the plight with this building, what's been Austin's plight over times, you know, since this building was built on into it becoming the Aspire Center for Workforce Innovation. And so we actually partnered with a group, Borderless Studios, that has helped to source all different types of images, pictures, all of the past and all that's sort of shaping this narrative that has created a beautiful installation that's actually being fabricated as we speak, and it's going to be installed and ready to showcase during our grand opening. So that's all of what it entailed to kind of develop this building and bring it to bear and really kind of uh, bring about what you see if you're driving past Madison and Central now, what you see that is happening and that's emerged in terms of the repurposing of this building. But the other thing that we tried to be really intentional about is how we mobilize for operations, because it's not enough that this wonderful building and investment is going to be present in our community for all to see, but it's also what the center is looking to achieve, and what happens within the building and how it transforms individuals' lives that will frequent the center and that will seek services through the center. And so I want to be able to share a little bit about like our approach to that, what our roadmap has been to be able to bring all of the different services and tenants online within the center, and the roles and responsibilities, work streams that we had to work through, as well as what's next. And so again, just highlighting the origins of this project, right? The quality of life plan starting up in 2018 gave way to this very large initiative in terms of the Aspire initiative to create this ecosystem of support within the heart of Austin, over in that vicinity bordered by Central, Chicago Avenue, Laramie, and Madison. And that is anchored by this catalyst of a project, Aspire Center for Workforce Innovation, which is one component of that larger initiative. And so, as you can see here, building off the theory of change that was established for the Aspire initiative for individuals to be able to achieve gaining access to all of those amenities simultaneously so they can have a higher quality of life. And this cradle to career continuum. So at every phase of their life, right, they're able to experience the support that they need on and from, children going to kindergarten on to aging in place. And each of the 4 projects helps bring that continuum to life. And the Aspire Center for Workforce Innovation is one of them. And there's an image of that impact zone you can see there. And so this is the roadmap that we developed, really coming out of closing for our financing, where we realized, hey, how are we going to make sure that we deliver on the promise of what this site, this center, is looking to achieve? And so with that, you can see where it breaks down and shows this progression of different aspects or work streams of work that we needed to be able to actually initiate and facilitate into fruition over the period of time that we have scoped, coming from October 2023 on into April of 2025 towards grand opening. And you see these sort of timelines moving in parallel with grand opening on with these work streams. And they're all color coded to be able to understand what they are. And here's a closer look at sort of what the work streams represent in terms of our mobilized project, as well as some highlights from each of them. And so there were basically 4 work streams that we were working through. The getting started work stream that really highlighted determining like our purpose and strategy for the center, which involves the vision and mission, which I'll tell you a little bit more about as we keep going through. Also identifying roles and responsibilities for the center organization's staff, as well as when you go to green, our functional roles, right? And this is where it entails like really developing like the programmatic model for the center that will leverage all that each of the anchor tenants have to bear, in addition to other areas that are functional in nature in terms of operations, marketing, resource development, evaluation, and so forth. And then there's the actual activation of the center space, right? And what that means is how do we utilize, what are our guidelines around utilizing the space for safety and security, for property management and the visitor user experience. And then lastly, change management, where, this effort has been led and co-led for a number of years by both Austin Coming Together staff and Westside Health Authority. But our interest in its, going into its tenure and long term is to actually have it transition the management of this center to its own organization that will be doing that on day to day, as WHA and ACT are both tenants in the building, and again, lead our own organizations to bring different services to bear. So, just in the nature of keeping everything collaborative, we've been very intentional to try to bring that online. And, as I was saying, speaking about like what does that look like, the purpose and strategy, our vision that was collectively developed for this center is, it's a passion, if you will, and it's even bigger than the center itself, right? It's Austin residents imagine making the impossible possible, go beyond their limits and achieve their highest potential in building wealth. And our mission, the center's role in doing that, is we provide a place where people can imagine beyond barriers, develop creative approaches and solutions for equitable wealth creation in Austin, and become economically empowered residents, combating the legacy of disinvestment, limited training opportunities, and fragmented services in Austin. Sounds like a lot, but this is what we need to happen in our community for it to rightfully move forward for the people of Austin that have endured much, right? And when we look at our strategic imperatives related to that, it's twofold. And we have strategic imperatives in terms of activation and in terms of impact, which is longer term, right? And just in terms of activation, building the center, completing the construction, maintaining the facility, right? That is our imperative. That's been our goal that we've been working towards over the past 7 years, and we're finally here. Also, mobilizing the operating approach, where we look at, as I mentioned, how is this center going to operate, right? Creating a startup organization and determining all these different things for the facility, and then delivering the grand opening, like opening the doors of this center, right? Launching this site as a beacon of hope for all in our community, right? So that folks can now aspire, gain access to the things that they aspire to for their well-being. And then in terms of impact, the holistic model, which I'll talk more about, is really our process in terms of how we're going to help community members leverage the resources that are collaboratively available within the center to move them along a pathway to gain access to success in high demand economic sectors like advanced manufacturing, IT, healthcare, and transportation, distribution, logistics. And then also, how do we support our small business development, right? Leveraging the center to act as a hub for existing small business development services, as well as incubation, and that will help create greater impact in Austin, leveraging partners that are already here or that may have services out elsewhere that need to be made available here. And so looking at how we can do that. And then lastly, having a community plan for the facility where we really leverage this site, where it is building partnership within the center in terms of the partners that are bringing the services forward, as well as the space, how it is being impactful for our community residents local to the area that need to be able to leverage the space, for whether it's for services or even for different various types of things they need to gain access to that aren't normally available in a community because we lack the facilities for those. And so when you look at our holistic model, one of the things that we took the liberty of creating with this is really laying out a logic model in terms of like how are we bringing realizing this vision, and how are we actually going to fulfill our mission as anchor tenants. And collaboratively, we worked with our anchor tenants. We worked to be able to look at, like, what are the inputs that help us be able to facilitate different activities that can now start to um, bring about outputs for our participants, right? Whether they are in a position or in a situation where they need to get stable, or where they have maybe started to have some success in terms of stability from out of crisis, and now looking to move into a situation where they can become gainfully employed, fully employed, right? That helps them uh, move towards different outcomes that lead to either basic needs of income and all those things being met, and the vulnerability being removed and taken away, and or moving towards a place where they can actually experience financial freedom, wealth creation, and that resiliency that really makes it sustainable, where you can start to lend it over into the generations. And some of the services, so when we looked at that to bring that to bear, going deeper, we really look at like our comprehensive scope of services. We frame this in the sense of where we have our core competencies, given the anchor tenants that we have. We know from the six that we've scoped in terms of categories of services, right? Job, career, financial, legal, emotional, life and family, and aspiring. Job, career, and financial, are core to us, right? We have JARC, who is Advanced Manufacturing, their workforce training agency. We have BMO Bank, that is a financial institution. Also, Westside Health Authority and Austin coming together on site as well to be able to provide a number of different services along life and family. And just recently, this is actually hot off the press, through a partnership with Westside Health Authority, we now will have as a subtenant the Cook County Public Defender's Office and Legal Aid Chicago. And so through partnership, our subtenants, we actually will be able to bring some core services to bear for individuals in the area of legal. And so through our partners, our hope and additional tenants, our hope is to be able to also provide more resources around emotional as well as life and family and aspiring. Uh, and so very excited for that. And how do we actually approach, and what's our process to realizing, facilitating people gaining access to those services, right? It's really through our operating model, where we're looking to align resources and partners, collaborate around recruitment in terms of meeting people where they are to make sure that they can gain access to the center, right, that are seeking support, and then have a process in terms of how we do a coordinated intake for individuals that need to be able to connect to any of these myriad of services that are available within the building or through our larger network, and then helping them to actually navigate connecting to those services with support, and providing a support system for them as they go through that process on until they gain access to become successful and sought to maintain that status. And in terms of change management, we also are looking at, these are a number of the ACWI, or the Aspire Center for Workforce Innovation staff roles that I mentioned about the organization, starting the startup organization. And so we've also been looking at, and we've looked at what types of positions or roles we will have to initiate within the center. And so you can see, there's going to be an executive director, director of community, a chief operations officer, and then also a number of contracted support that we're looking to have online by grand opening, where we have property management, our facility site director, reception, valuation, marketing, communications, and also other roles that we've identified that we're looking to bring online after the center opens to ensure that this center will be operated to the level of success that will meet the needs of Austin residents and possibly even the greater West Side once we get going. We really believe this place is going to be a game changer for our community. And still to come, behind all of those updates that I just gave you, there's more that we need to do, right? So, up next in our development, as I said, we are looking to complete both aspects of our construction. We got one down, we got one to go. Also, our grand opening planning to be completed very soon because we got to start preparing for what that's going to entail to bring this larger than life, very audacious place online for our community and complete that hiring of new team members that will help manage the center ongoing and also the Mobilize project that I share with you guys. And then we have to actually start our tenant move in and have that be completed before grand opening this spring. So some things to look out for in terms of that we really want to be able to make sure that you guys stay tuned for is one, we're looking to start doing some community pre-grand opening tours that we want to be able to give some folks some previews, you know, based on capacity, as well as we're seeking to host more Hub 101s to feature our anchor tenants so you can actually get to know them even better than what you currently may know. In addition to, we're also launching a website soon that'll be a continuous rollout of our social media channels as well so that we can keep everybody abreast of all the different occurrences that'll be happening, and that'll be your destination to be able to know what you can access at the center and when. And then the grand opening actual save the date is coming soon for everybody to be able to put it on their calendar to make sure that you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss this because it is definitely going to be a event noteworthy for 2025. And then some of the things that's ready right now, you can actually follow us on Aspire Center on Instagram, right, at our Aspire Center tag right here that you can see on the slides at ACWICHI. And then you can also sign up for our newsletter updates. If you just look at the QR code that's here to the right on my screen here, that will allow you to be able to get signed up. So we're very excited. Hope everybody can follow through on these things that I've laid out for you here. And hey, we will see you this spring, Austin. Very excited about the Spire Center for Workforce Innovation coming online, and we can't wait. I couldn't be more excited for what that's going to mean for everybody this year. Thank you.
Wow, that was a lot, man. I hope everybody out there in the audience is excited as I am as well. Thank you so much, Darnell. I think this is the time we'll go ahead and move into the Q&A portion of the event. So for those watching live, please put your questions in the Q&A box, or if you can put them in the live chat if you're watching from Facebook. Please don't hesitate to throw those questions in there. So I'll go ahead and kick it off. First question, see what we have. Okay, all right, first question. Will residents be able to casually drop in to use Wi-Fi, do work, and use other available resources without being a client/participant of the orgs occupying the Aspire Center?
I am very excited to share that, yes, that is exactly as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, there's a sizable amount of public space that has been incorporated into this center. And so the goal of that space is to be able to give opportunity for community members, partners, and others to be able to just have an area to set up to take meetings or to be able to use Wi-Fi. This building will be equipped with free public Wi-Fi in those public spaces, as well as even in the outdoor plaza area as well. So whether you're inside the building in those spaces or on the exterior, you should be able to leverage that. And you don't necessarily have to be a client or participant. You just got to be in the area.
Great, great. Thank you for that.
The next question we have is, will hours of operation change in any way?
Currently, we are working through with our team of contracted expert resources in terms of JLL that's been helping us with facility management. And we've been looking at hours of operation, normal hours of operation from 9 in the morning on until 7 p.m. And, currently that's what we are projecting. But if there are any changes to that, we definitely will be updating the community either through our website or they'll be able to know more about that as we move closer to grand opening. But that's what we're projecting currently.
Right. And next question. Someone would love to know how you help build local businesses in the community.
Oh man, that's a great question. And you know what? It's also an awesome opportunity for me to give a formal introduction to another colleague of mine that's been helping to bring this center online. I'd like to introduce Natalie Goodin. She's our special projects manager focused on the Aspire Center. And Natalie's worked very closely with the anchor tenants, also with Morris and myself around building out the plans for the different audiences that we're looking to serve. And so I'm actually going to kick that question over to you, Natalie, to be able to share what we have developed around that.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So like Darnell said, as we've been really developing our small business approach with our anchor tenants and also with some expert resources, where we've really landed, at least for the first couple of years for Aspire, is that Aspire is really best positioned to support small businesses through leveraging existing services. So this is really to find solutions and address gaps in the landscape that already exists. So we're really looking to support small businesses by keeping them informed on opportunities, by building relationships with small business support partners that are already doing the work of supporting small businesses. And then also being able to leverage the space. So hosting events at the Aspire Center, being able to, like I said, strengthen and build relationships with business support partners, but then also business incubators, which residents might not have access to currently. And then we're also working to determine how we can host some vendor pop-ups and actually be able to host some small businesses at the Aspire Center and on the site.
Thank you for that. So the next question is, will there be any youth engagement workshops? If so, will you bring in speakers to encourage our youth?
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's another great question for Natalie. I think you best suited to share along what our plans have been with that audience as well.
Yeah, definitely. So similar to our small business folks, we have a similar strategy for supporting youth, at least at the beginning. So we've really kind of approached the youth strategy is looking at two different demographics. So we have young people who are ages 18 and 24 who are entering the workforce. We're going to really emphasize ensuring that they are plugged in, that they have access to services, that they're, able to take full advantage of our comprehensive scope. And then we also want to make sure that we're encouraging the young people who are under the age of 18. So again, we're really going to be relying on the partners and the services that already exist, and making sure that we have an end to these youth programs to make sure that we can encourage kids to just be aware of, opportunities that are out there, encourage them to aspire to the kinds of dreams that they have. And then, yes, it'll be a similar approach, but we'll really be supporting that work through engagement. So through events and through connecting those youth partners with industry partners.
Great. Thank you for that answer. Now we have community members that drive past the Aspire Center every day, and they have questions. They're wondering. We have people outside of the community who's hearing about the Aspire, and they're wondering as well. So the next question is: will there be an open house after the completion of the Aspire Center?
Yes, that there will definitely be an open house. So the way that we are looking at our grand opening is really providing to the intention is to provide that opportunity for folks to be able to actually see what this center is going to look like in operation and meet all of the anchor tenants, see the public spaces, right? Tour and engage in those spaces. So that's going to be a big part of our grand opening. But even beyond grand opening, once the center opens, we're going to be working with our anchor tenants, the ACWI staff, to really look at like how we can regularly, consistently make our center open house available, where it's an open house available for people to be able to frequent on a regular basis. So you can, again, have that experience, understand like what the focus is of the center, even before you may come there to pursue some services or things like that. So that's something that we're going to be committed to doing at least for the first year, because we want any and all to be able to really learn how they can leverage this site and for their betterment.
Yes, so we can see that we have a lot of people excited and interested and want to take advantage of like the opportunities that we have going on at Aspire. So one of the questions were, what's the timetable regarding workforce training plans, entrepreneurship support, wealth building, investment plans?
Yeah, so in terms of the timetable, so we're looking to be able to open this center this spring, right? And what that means is each of the anchor tenants within that time frame are looking to be activated, active on site, available for community members, even whether they're an existing client or customer of that particular organization, or someone newly being able to seeking to connect with them, that will be available at grand opening. In terms of workforce training plans, and entrepreneurship support, depending on which of those you need. In our first year, we're really going to be working to one, test our model that it's able to be able to actually provide and meet the needs of what individuals may have, whether it is a training plan or being connected to entrepreneurial support of some kind, and how does that actually move them towards wealth building. So again, it's going to be an iterative process for us as we launch this, because there's nothing like this center in development that we know of. And so we're really excited to be able to um, launch it in its fullness, but also continue to kind of build out what and perfect what that looks like to be able to deliver on the mission and the promise. So uh, our timetable is to initialize with the basic services that we'll have by each anchor tenant at the onset, and then over the coming months, be able to add on and release other aspects of that'll bring us, into the fullness of all that the center can provide.
Great. Now this question is for from some of those organizations who may feel their vision and the work that they're doing aligns with what will be going on at the Aspire Center. So will there be opportunities for those agencies to potentially have office space at the Aspire Center, or how does that work?
So currently, right now, the the first and the first phase of this development entailed the redevelopment and renovation of the first and second floor of the building. As it stands right now, those spaces that are leasable spaces have all been leased out, so there's no vacancy in terms of those areas as far as leasable space. However, there's an entire third floor that is a future phase of the project that has not been leased out, or we have not determined exactly um, how that will be leased or be leveraged. However, that is going to be something that we'll be working over the next coming years to figure out what does that look like, how do we fund it, and then what types of leasing opportunities might be available for future organizations that align with those purposes. In the interim, organizations that are working in partnership with the anchor tenants that are in this building, there possibly will be opportunities to leverage building space to partner to bring those different programs to bear, or even feature different programming that they have that helps us achieve that mission, as well as be able to potentially reserve, tenant space and common space in the building to bring programming there on a seasonal basis. So this is something that we're going to be excited to work with all of our partners and even organizations that we'll be learning about that align with that mission and vision as to how we, leverage the site to bring their programming proximate and connected to the community residents in Austin.
Our next question is, will there be a trade school possibly integrated into the Aspire Center?
So the interesting thing is Jane Addams Resource Corporation, they are a advanced manufacturing training organization. So they're a true workforce trade agency, if you will, that will actually be based in the center. And so, in terms of if individuals are interested in gaining access to certified and credentialized training in metalworking or light engineering, robotics, as well as CNC machining and things of that nature, right? They will have access to that state-of-the-art facilities actually on site that'll put them in line for employment in those fields, and starting through programming with Jane Addams Resources, careers in manufacturing programming. And so we're excited about that. And they actually have almost 8,000 square feet of space to be able to leverage that programming. And so that is a form of trade school that will be available there. And, will there be other opportunities for other trades? That's something that we'll be looking at over the future. Again, we have other space on the third floor that is prospective area to be able to bring more training opportunities there, as well as a host of different partners that we'll be working with that have training space elsewhere that we can connect individuals to.
Oh, great, great. The next question, is there a performance space for small music acts, discussions, plays, etc.?
Yeah, so in terms of the focus of this center and having, a large focus on workforce training and support services and everything that goes along with that to connect people to high demand economic sectors, right? A it's not necessarily a focus, or the performing arts and things of that nature is not necessarily a focus of that day-to-day mission. However, we have looked at and we will be looking at like how we can leverage space within this site, say, outside of business hours, where we might be able to make some of these things available, depending on, the scope of it and how it fits within the spaces that we have. But we're also, we recognize that we're very proximate and neighboring spaces that do cater to these types of events and efforts, like the K. Ryan Center for the Arts, and we have the local high school down the street and others. And so, that's something that, we won't dismiss and really try to think through, because we don't want to be redundant and replicate things that would actually be more appropriate to happen in those spaces.
When and where can people sign up for the first day? Will there be a wait list?
So that's a great question. And if I know we will be sharing out that QR code again that we put forth. That's one of the first ways that we want to be able to engage everybody and have folks engage with us. Because if you go through that to sign up for our newsletters, we can follow up with anyone that we have your information around when different signups will actually start, what those days will be, and which organizations will be online first, and what that process will actually be. So I would say definitely sign up for our newsletter. We can share that QR code again so that all can do that. Also, check us out on Instagram as well, frequent, to be able to learn about all the different things, that opportunities that we'll have available.
Great, great. We have one other question here. And question is, will services like the financial literacy be available to residents of Chicago outside of Austin? And will they be free of charge?
Yes, so that's also a good question. It's a two-part question. One is, will services be available for residents of Chicago outside of Austin? The answer is yes. While our focus and our priority is Austin residents, we're also and not looking to turn anyone away, right? And so we're interested, if anybody's looking to leverage our services, whether you're on the west side or within the city of Chicago, we definitely won't turn you away. And in terms of, will those services be free of charge? Yes. The services within the center, in terms of workforce training and supportive services and those types of things, financial literacy, all of those services will be provided free of charge through our anchor tenant partners.
We have some people wondering if there is a copy of the plan somewhere online, or if someone is able to receive a PDF.
If there's a copy of the plans for the center, I wouldn't necessarily say there's a copy of the plans for the center online. However, um, we will be making available um, different documents that highlight sort of, the efforts that it's taken to be able to actually create the concept for the center and then bring it into its fruition. Because again, this is something that we want to share with everyone, of what it's taken for the Austin community to reclaim this asset and repurpose it, or kind of reposition it for this purpose. So it's definitely something that we want and are looking to share. So once that becomes available, or as we start to generate those documents, you'll be able to be alerted through our newsletter when those things are available, as well as directed to our newly designed website to most likely be able to download them and garner them for your usage.
Great, great. And I know you touched on this earlier in the presentation, but just for a reminder to everybody who's watching, could you go over the projected date for the grand opening just one more time for the audience?
Yeah, definitely. So we've scoped this spring as our timeline for this. So we're looking at late April potentially, to be able to actually have as a projected date to open the center. We're working, as I mentioned, all the different areas that we have that we're working furiously to confirm and finalize so that we can stay on track for that. But as it stands right now, we're currently on track to still meet that deadline. So folks can look for, again, I encourage everybody to sign up for our newsletter because that way you can get real-time updates related to our save the date as well as any other updates related to the center that folks might need to know about.
Great, great. I appreciate that. And I believe that was our last question. Um, Thank you again to Darnell. Thank you again to Natalie. And thank you again to everyone that tuned in today. Um, if you do have any last minute questions, still get them in. We'll be putting a link in the QR code up so you can go ahead and get those questions that you didn't get a chance to ask. I know things pop up later. You're like, man, I should have asked that. So that will definitely be your opportunity to do so. And Synovia, leave us with a brief message.
Like we mentioned earlier, the Hub is here to connect you to resources. Even if a resource that you find isn't the right fit for you, as the community resource coordinator, I work directly with participants of the Hub to find the best fit for them. I'll be following up with you if you requested additional Hub services in the registration form. So I'll be looking forward to connect with you all.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, our next Hub 101, as you can see up on the screen, will be February 4th with BMO Bank. Again, just a reminder, these next string of Hub 101s will be all featuring anchor tenants for the Aspire Center. So please stay tuned with us. And as you see, March, we're following up with Westside Health Authority, and April 1st, the Chains Adams Resource Corporation, and then yours truly, the Hub, will be in and out in April and rounding it off right before that grand opening. So we're all very excited. We're happy that you all came today. And again, let's make sure we can get that QR code up for everyone who wants to get those last minute questions in. And we'll be ending it out.
There should be a link to it in the Q&A.
Okay, great. So yeah, that a link is out there. So you guys go ahead and click that link. And again, like Darnell said, stay tuned. Sign up for their newsletter so you can continue to receive information as we continue to roll out this project. And right here, there's that QR code right there. So hey, thanks again, everyone, and until next time.
Thanks for having us. Thanks again. You guys did a great job. And hey, I'll see you at work and I'll see everybody else at the grand opening.